Thank you. As you can see, we have collaborators across the whole VT-Sun team because the types of things we're doing really cross all of these disciplines. I'm the PI for this. We also have Nina Quadros working as kind of the project lead. She's a postdoc. We have another postdoc and PhD student starting on this, and a number of undergraduate students who are actually contributing to the knowledge base here. We are the key academic collaborator with the Project for Emerging Nanotechnology. You won't see a lot of pictures on this because if you look at the Project for Emerging Nanotechnology, there's a database with all sorts of products. And if I would have shown it up there, you would have seen a bunch of little bitty indications of things. So I encourage you to go at some point today and just kind of scan through this database to get a sense of what it's like. This project is housed at the Woodrow Wilson International Center in Washington, D.C., and the collaboration, for the most part, was championed by Matt Hall, and we've continued that. Their mission is to think about how, as nanotechnologies advance, we consider and weigh all of these risks. And you've seen already that things that Lindsay just talked about, and Pete and other ones, all of these are talking about environmental benefits versus environmental risks. And they are intimately connected to consumers and the public perception of nanotechnology. So their job is to try to get the public to understand what these benefits are and to talk about them in a scientific way. This emerging nanotechnology database is widely cited. So a quick scan through Google Scholar shows over 3,500 hits to this. And it's a source of information that lots of people are using. The problem is that the information is not particularly scientifically based. It's a big database that lots of companies have dumped information into, and scholars keep going to it, but they keep asking, where's the real information for us to really base some scientific research? So we were chosen. Actually, I think we drove the process with these guys rather than being chosen. And the question that is the primary research question here is, if one were to upgrade this database, which is the process we're going through right now, how do we use science and information to allow this database to be used as a better source for both consumers, which is what it's used for now, but also scientific inquiry, policy development, and general public awareness? This project kind of started off from the back forward. The first annual Sustainability Nanotechnology Conference happened last fall, and we kind of kicked off this idea with 3 presentations. Matt talked to the general group about what this collaboration could potentially do, and it kind of built the interest among kind of the leaders in this field as to what we actually could deliver to them that would help their science go forward. Then I talked a little bit about life cycle analysis, which is considering the entire life cycle of a product from start to finish. And one of Pete Vikeslin's students talked about a specific example of gold nanoparticles and what the issues were those in terms of analyzing them. So we have compiled in the last 6 months information for over 200 new products in this database. The database has approximately 1,300 products in it already. And there is a launch targeted for, right now we're talking about early summer, but depending on various publicity opportunities, we might push that back. But we've developed at least 200 new products to enter into this inventory. And at the same time, we've taken the role of going through the inventory, which has over 1,300 products in it, and trying to analyze what's in there already, and trying to decide, is this based on any scientific information? One of the problems with the database currently is that the producers of the materials just say, our products have nanomaterials in them. They typically don't tell you what the nanomaterials are in terms of chemical composition. They don't tell you anything about the size of those nanoparticles. They don't tell you if the nanoparticles are in the bulk or on the surface, or what the potential for those nanoparticles are to get out into the environment. So without this information, you can see that scientists trying to do a more in-depth study can't really take this and go anywhere. So we are working carefully with a number of key stakeholders, and we've developed a survey for a bunch of stakeholders to say, if you were to do scientific research on this database, what pieces of information would you use, and how would you use them, rather than just developing what we think is the best way to do this. There are a number of databases out there already with different kinds of information in them, and people are struggling to decide what the best way is to go with this. So we really believe strongly that this research has the potential to yield highly cited publications and turn into a more scientific-based database rather than just kind of this consumer-based database that it is now. So it could be useful for researchers and policymakers, and as well as consumer advocacy groups. So the highlights to this, just in review, are we have added a couple hundred new products to this inventory, and through one of my classes and a number of undergraduate students that we've hired, we've taken the original database of 1,300 products and we've cross-checked about 500 of those products, which is a big effort. Is the product still available? Is there more information about the product that no one has found yet? Could we find information on the composition or the size or the location of this particle that hasn't been developed yet? And all of these are coming together into this thing we call NCPI 2.0, National Consumer Product Information 2.0, and the release is imminent. There were 3 conference presentations, as I mentioned, in September or November of last year, and it really kicked the ball off. We really were able to introduce this concept to a number of folks, and we got a lot of good feedback. The other key success is that as part of this, some of the folks there associated with the Food and Drug Law Policy Institute invited DT Sun to be a panel member for this. And we're also working closely with SAINT, which you've heard a little bit about, the Center for Environmental Implications of Nanotechnology.